What you see here is what we are gonna build today using only AI tools like Cursor, and we're gonna use a bit of Claude 3.5 UI too, but mostly it's gonna be Cursor in this video. So this is a microservices app page, call it what you want, that has Stripe integrated, so we can kind of do payments very easy. So this could be like some microservices that you offer maybe on your social media, so you can leave this in your bio or something, or on your web page. This is kind of up to you. But now I just want to show you how this works before we get into the building part, right? So let's say I wanted to sell some engagement on some social media post. Yeah, that's a microservice, right? So I can click on buy here. I can fill out like Reddit, I don't know, .com, right? And I can give some instructions to the user. I can click on pay here. So if I click on this, right, on pay, so this will take me over to the Stripe checkout page, and you can see I can just fill out here and I can pay $3 for this. So pretty easy to set up. We also have a conversation page. So this is here we can book on Calendly. So you can just click on this, takes me to my Calendly. You can schedule a meeting with me and you can pay. Right, but one thing I added in here, so let's say, yeah, I also have this YouTube video shout out. So let's say someone wanted to buy something from me, so engage on a social media post. That was just something I made up, right? So let me just fill out this and click on pay with Stripe. So let me just fill out my information and credit card number here and pay for this. Okay, so my payment was confirmed. So if I go to my transactions now on my Stripe dashboard, you can see I have something called uncaptured here. So this is something I put in because let's say this person here that wanted to buy a social media post for me, put in kind of the metadata you can see here. So it kind of asked for, can you retweet my post? So I can go check out the post. No, I don't think I want to retweet this, right? Then I can just go up here, right? And I can either capture to confirm this, or I can just click cancel. And no, I don't like this post. Save. And this is gonna be returned now to the customer. So I can always go into my schedule here and check, do I have time for this booked meeting? If not, I can just cancel it and they will get the money back instead of having to deal with payments and then I have to send it back and stuff, right? So that's very convenient for this, right? So I can check, okay, so he booked there, so he paid for this. So that is basically the app we're gonna build today. So we're gonna take you to every single step. We're gonna use a bit of Claude, but only 90%. We're gonna use Cursor. So I've been really happy playing around with Cursor lately, so it's gonna be more of like a how to use Cursor to build a Firebase and Stripe app almost. So I hope you will learn something. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit of a long video, but you can watch this over a few days if you wanted to. I think there are some good information here if you are interested in using AI to write your coding or programming, or just, yeah, to learn something. So I think we're just gonna get started. Hope you will enjoy it, and yeah, speak soon. As we did in my previous video, we will also today be combining Claude projects and we will be using Cursor. So I've been trying to go more over to use Cursor. That's a bit more advanced if you're only used to using Claude, but you should get right into it, as you will see in this video. It got some really nice features that really helps us speed up the process of making, yeah, what you call it, an app. Is it an app today? Yeah, we'll take a look at it. So basically we're gonna start as usual. I have created like a visual prompt that I like to include. So this is basically some design that, yeah, as you can see here, it's pretty basic. So this is the ID put down into, yeah, from my head onto the page here. So here are the microservices I will be, yeah, selling, if you want to call it like that. This is of course highly personal because I can sell some video shoutouts for YouTube. I can do like a conversation, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I get a bunch of requests, but I always said no up until now. Maybe I'm gonna try it, so we're gonna try to do this. It could be like a simple, maybe like engagement on your social media post. So maybe retweet, comment on a post or something. So I'm thinking like microservices. These are like, is this microservices? It could be. So we want to have this on the main page, right? So this is going to be like the main page facing, for me, it's going to be on my website. But this could be a standalone app too that you can just link in your bio, right? So let's say the user or the customer clicks on buy here. It's going to be directed to this sub page. If they want to be like a conversation, they can book this on Calendly and pay with Stripe. So the important thing here is that Stripe API has this function that the payment can be held until the conversation or the YouTube video shout out is confirmed by the service provider. In this case, it's me. If I don't respond at all, the money will be returned. So that kind of gives like some authority for me to kind of that conversation, I don't think it's appropriate, so I'm just gonna return the money. Same for all the other stuff here, right? So the user will not be charged until the service provider confirms the deal, right? So that is what we're going to try to build today. I don't think it's going to be too difficult. We're going to be using, like I said, Cursor and Claude projects. So hopefully it's a speedy process. You're going to see me try to incorporate it at the end into my already existing website using something called Cursor Composor. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be the first time I try it. So hopefully it's going to be speedy, interesting, and hopefully we can learn something. So let's get started, shall we? So I think we're just going to start over here on Claude. So I'm just going to create a project here. I'm just going to call it maybe like a microservice app. Yeah, that's fine. Click on create project. I have prepared like custom instructions. You can kind of see we can set here. This is the one I've been using a lot lately. So it's a pretty simple custom instruction. You're an expert web developer with expertise in JavaScript, React, etc. Your task is to develop based on the instruction from the user and build with React components. I want to return full code files. Use prescriptive variable names, comments on stuff, but only for the complicated parts. Write clean and effective code. So a very minimalistic system prompt, but it's been working pretty good for me. So I'm just gonna save that, right? Okay, so I think we're gonna start here with the prompt like we always do. So let me just upload our image here, right? Okay, so we have this. Let me write like the initial prompt here to get us started on this project. Okay, so let's go over the initial prompt together here. So, hello, I am ready to create a full stack web app with a React frontend and Node.js backend. Let's start with the frontend before we integrate the backend. I think that's a good practice. At least that's what I used to do. I have uploaded an image of the design I want from my microservices app, and I kind of reference the image here, plan.png. You can see it here. As you can see from the image, the main page is a list of microservices I offer. If the user clicks on buy, they will be sent to a subpage for the service they clicked on. Conversation is the same subpage because 15 and 30 minutes, that could be the same subpage, right? I will give you some instructions for the YouTube shout out and engagement post subpage later. Just create a placeholder for now. Keep the UI minimalistic in a dark theme with high contrast and good readability, please. I'm on Windows 11, VS Code Studio, Cursor, but that's basically VS Code. Now create a step-by-step plan to start building my app, please. Okay, so this is the prompt we're gonna run with. So I'm just gonna click on this now, and hopefully we get some good instructions here. We're gonna bring over to Cursor, start implementing, creating some components, and see where this takes us. Okay, so we have the response here. I also want to mention, I started a timer here, so we can actually track how long we're gonna spend on this project. But if we scroll up here now, we just wanna start here by creating a React app, right? So let's just copy this, okay? And let's head over to Cursor now, or your VS Code Studio. So what I want to do is I just want to go to my terminal here, right? And kind of go to my JavaScript folder, as you can see here. So let me just do that. And then I'm going to do npx create React app, microservice app, and just hit enter. This is going to kind of create or initialize our React app here now. It's going to take a minute or two, but I will take you back when this is complete. Okay, so that was done. Now we can just cd into the app we created, right? And we can actually just open the folder here. So I'm just gonna go to my JavaScript, gonna go to my microservice app and open this. And here you can see now we have some folders here. We have an app.js, index.js, so we can start working with this, right? So first, let's install some packages. If you go back here, you can see we have some dependencies we want to install. So I'm going to copy those and just go down here and install those. And the next step is we're going to create a components folder, right? So let's do that. So this is going to be in our source directory. So source, let's create a new folder, components, right? And then you can see we're going to start building out some components here. So we want to update our app.js. This is already existing, so we can just copy this. App.js, replace what we have here, right? And save. Main page.js. So we're going to create this in our components folder, right? New file, main page.js. Okay. And we can just take the content here and copy this. Okay, let's do that. Same with subpage. We're gonna create a subpage.js here. So remember, okay, pretty simple setup. Subpage, copy the code here and save that. And then we have something called app.css. So this is the styling we want. So we can copy this. If you go back here now, you can see in our source, we have something called app.css. So let's just replace this. So now we kind of added some styling here. And that is our initial start now. So now we can kind of run this app. So we can just copy this command here and do like an npm start, right? And this should pop up our first iteration of the app here. It's gonna be pretty bare bones. Oh, okay, so we have some errors. Main page.css. Okay, so let's see here. Was there something I missed here? Okay, so I guess I missed something here. So let's just copy our error here. It's asking for a main page CSS, subpage CSS. Okay, so now I see. So we didn't have any main page.css or subpage.css, but that's fine. So we're just going to update those to main page and subpage to remove the CSS imports, and we move the styles over to app.css file. So let's just update these two components here. So main page, right? And we're going to update our subpage. Basically what we did here is we removed this line here, right? And now we can kind of take a look at our app here. And yeah, now you can see this is our initial part, right? So when we click on our conversation, we are taken to this page. Here's this part, right? So yeah, I think this is a good start. It's a bit bare bones, but I think that's fine. So you can see we want to add some styling here, the prices, but other than that, it looks pretty close to the paint we created, right? So you can see pay with Stripe, book on Calendly, and yeah, I think this is a good start. So let's move on to the next step. I think we're gonna style this a bit, make it a bit more linear and make it a bit more easy to kind of see the price and stuff. So let's continue with that. So I actually think this is a good opportunity to actually do some visual prompting. So if we open kind of our screenshot or snapshot here, you can just do like this or something, right? So let's just grab this, let's copy that. We can go to paint, that's fine. Let's do like a new one here, right? Oops, that was a bit big. Yeah, that's fine. So what I want to do is, let's say I want to do like this, and let's say I wanted to move them over here, right? We can do maybe some kind of arrow here, something like that, right? Let's copy this, and now let's head over to cursor. So what we can do now here, we have some options. We can actually do just click here and click something called Control L. this brings us into our chat, right? So what I want to do now is I just want to paste in my image here. And let me come up with a prompt here to try to move this over here. So let's try the prompt. Here you can see my UI now, plan2.png. I want to move the prices next to the buy button. I didn't say that. Also align the prices horizontally and vertically next to the price with a gap 1. Update my app please with this integration. And now you can see we have the option Control Enter. This is using our code base as context. So hopefully this is enough to actually fix this. And yeah, let's just see it. So when I click Control Enter now, you can see we are reading all the existing files. So this is a super smooth thing. We don't have to leave the IDE to actually do some changes. And we have something called, I think it's fast apply they call it. So we can just select, so we want to update our app.css, right? So we can select that file. We can make this a bit smaller. And you can see we can click on apply here. And you can see, okay, so these are the changes we're going to do. We can accept those. Let's save it. Not S, Control S. We got some more changes we want to do. We're going to go to our main page.js and we want to change up some lines of code here. Okay, so I'm going to accept that and save it. And now we can go back to our app, right? And boom, yeah, perfect. So that is kind of what we wanted, right? You can see from our paint, we wanted to move that over here. Perfect, we got the aligned. So that was fixed. It doesn't look crooked. So yeah, I'm kind of happy with this. And if we click here now, I think we're kind of ready. I like this part. I think this is nice centered. And maybe we want to change up some of the... I think I maybe want this underneath here. Maybe the pay with stripe. Maybe we want to center those two. So let's try to do like a follow-up. So let's do... copy this, and we can also just go back to cursor. We can follow up. So let's paste in an image and let's do like great job. So let's try to keep it simple. Great job. In the subpages, I want 2 buttons center on page and also align the button vertical, not side by side. Control Enter. So again, we're going to read our code base and hopefully this picks up what we want. And we can make some quick applied changes here in just our cursor IDE. So you can see we want to modify the subpage. So we got some suggestions here. Continue. This is going to write some new code here. Did it do that? Couldn't really see it, but let's see now. We want to update our app.css, right? Okay. We want to add some new code here. We want to align center, right? Accept. Save. Did we save the subpage? Yes. And hopefully we go back here now. Perfect, right? Let's see if that went over to all of them. Yeah, I like that. I think I want to add like maybe like a Stripe logo here and like a Calendar logo maybe. I think that's going to be the next part. Maybe we want to add like a YouTube logo here on the subpage, but we're going to fix that later. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this looks. And yeah, let's just move on to the next step. So I kind of forgot that we want different subpages for the YouTube video shoutout, right? We don't want this calendar part, and for the engagement social media post. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to cursor here, right? I'm just going to clear this chat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control L again. And let me just come up with a prompt here to kind of instruct that we need different subpages, right? So I just want to try with the prompt. All is good, but we need 2 more subpages. One must connect to our engagement social media post service. And the other one must connect to the YouTube video shoutout service. The conversation services are all good. Don't change those. Add a new 2 subpages. Remove the links from the old one for the respective services, please. Again, we're gonna Control Enter to use our code base as context. And hopefully now we can create 2 new sub pages, right? Okay, so I created our 2 new components. So the first one is gonna be the SoMe post page. So I'm just gonna click on this. Let's apply the code with this quick apply feature. So you can see we are writing the code here. Perfect. Let's save that or accept save. And let's do the same for our YouTube shout out subpage. Add the code, right? Accept, save. Okay, great. Now we want to update our app.js file. So again, we can use the quick apply feature here. We're going to make some changes. Accept, save. And probably we have to update our main page a bit with some new links and stuff. Again, quick fix with the apply quick service. And yeah, that should be pretty much it. Now we can head back to our current app. You can see it's pretty much the same, but now we have a YouTube video shout out. Perfect. I'm gonna alter here, right, to set it up the way I want it. And we have a social media, so yeah. So we can enter a post URL. That was pretty much a good idea. So I want to have one more text field, like a post URL and like some instructions. And on the YouTube video shout out, yeah, that is almost good enough. Shout out details and maybe some contact information. We'll see. You can see these are the way it was before. So yeah, that worked pretty smooth using Cursor, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now let me do like a quick tune of the subpages, and then we are ready to, almost ready, I guess, to move on to the backend. So we spent 25 minutes so far, so we are doing pretty good on time now. So yeah, let me do the next step here. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the social media post subpage. I just want to add like a quick description field and just make some gaps here, right? So for this, let's use Cursor. So I'm just gonna do like on the show me subpage. Let's add a second text field. Let's call it enter instructions. Instructions for the post or something. And also do a gap 1 between each text field and button. Control enter, and hopefully this can do like some small changes here. I want to add a second, and I want to add some gaps here. So let's see if we can fix that with Cursor. Go to our subpage, apply, accept, save. And we're gonna do some in our app CSS. Okay, save that. So let's take a look now. Yeah, I think this was pretty good. Enter instructions. We got a gap 1 here. Enter the URL. So this could be saved maybe to our backend somewhere or sent to us by the mail. Payment will be processed immediately. I'm gonna change that, but let's go back here now and let's do some. Okay, so we changed up this too. Yeah, I kind of like that. That was not too bad. But we also need to add a URL link here, I think. Or we don't need a URL link, or do we? Let me think about this. Okay, so I'm just gonna, final change is to add the email contact field on the YouTube subpage. Could have done that myself, but let's just use Cursor here now. So we can get like email here. So we can do it easily to contact the people that are wanting to buy some services from us, right? So you can see we want to go to our page, and I think that's fine. And our CSS. Save that. Did it change anything here? Not really. Take a look now. Okay, so we have our email address and the details. Yeah, I think that's pretty good for now. Of course, I will have to do some security here. so we don't paste in scripts and stuff here to try to hack us, right? And let's do, yeah, I'm gonna work on that a bit later. I'm not gonna integrate those security measures at the moment. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the services. So I think now we're actually gonna go over and start working a bit on the backend. But before we do that, I thought I could actually do one thing first. And if you go to my current website, right, you can see this is the theme or the styling I have. So it's kind of a retro styling here, right? So I think it's pretty cool, looks pretty nice, right? So I want to keep this styling if I wanted to put the microservices on my website, right? So what I thought I would try is actually to just, I just added this website to my code base here, right? And if we go Control L, we have something called mention. So let me try to come up with a prompt here that we can actually take the styling from my current website and put it onto the microservices we are creating here. So I'm just gonna do, I want to copy the styling and the font from, and then I'm gonna do like a at here or mention folders, and I'm gonna do our website, and I'm gonna find my kind of my website here, right? So you can see we have this, yeah, under here. I'm gonna select this folder, and then I'm gonna do to my components, and then I'm gonna do like an at mention again, files and folders, and let's do components, right? Can you help me fix this? I'm gonna try to keep it simple here, so let's do like a control enter now. So now it's gonna go through the folders in my website here. Okay, so let's see now. So hopefully we get some instructions here. So create a new styles.js file in your components folder. Okay, we can do that. So new file, what's it called? Styles.js, okay. Copy the relevant styles, okay. So just fast apply this. Accept and save that. Next step is gonna be upgrade main page.js. Okay, so we imported styles now, you can see that. So let's try this. Next step is gonna be to do the same with all our other components here. So I'm just gonna update all the components, and then we can see if the styling kind of looks the same as our website. Okay, so the final thing I had to do was just to add my font here into a folder named fonts, and I added something called fonts.css that kind of points to this. And now if we go to our app, boom, here we have it. So you can see this is, you can see it changed up kind of the price here, but I think it's fine, right? So if we look now, when we click on buy, excuse me, we kind of get this again. I kind of might have to change that back, but the engagement post, I think looks great. Kind of looks the same style as my website, right? So you can see that. So I'm pretty happy with this. Shoutout page also looks good. The conversation, yeah, I have to fix a bit on that, but other than that, that was super easy to do, to kind of copy the style from another site onto our new service, right? Or new app. So I just added my website to my code base, and I just used that chat Control L feature to kind of reference the folders, right? So that was super easy. So yeah, I guess I can just show you how I'm going to align this. So this is our conversation page, right? So we kind of want to fix up the buttons again. So here I'm going to use the Composor part. So I'm just going to select the subpage we want to change. I'm going to click Control I, and we get this Composor. So I'm just going to do align the calendar and the pay button, center, horizontal and vertical with a gap on, not side by side. Keep the back button as is. I'm just going to click enter here now, and hopefully this is going to write our new subpage to the same style as we wanted. You can see, so we can accept all, and this got saved. So if we go back here now, boom, we got it the way we had it, right? We can go back, check this, yeah, perfect. So this is the way I want it. We have the gap on, perfect. Now let's do the backend. Okay, so this is kind of the idea I had for the backend, since this app page, call it what you want, it's not going to have like a very advanced backend. We're just going to use something we can set up on Firebase, that is functions. So we can use JavaScript for this. So basically the idea is when the user click on pay with Stripe, we're going to send like this request to the Firebase function that is going to redirect the user to our Stripe checkout page that we kind of have to set up here, right? And I also want like when I have like a pending Stripe payment, if a service for a valid service, I want to kind of have some kind of way to go and confirm that in Stripe. So I kind of want a message or something like that. I'm gonna look into that. But basically, when the user clicks here on maybe like buy, and when they clicks this button here, pay with Stripe, we just want to send them over to this Stripe checkout page. So I want to host this on Firebase. I think it's pretty easy to set up over there. But you can do this with many other places. You can use, I think you can use code your own style with just the Stripe API. You can also use like Subpages, Visuall maybe. But I'm not going to use Firebase in this example. So I think we just gonna head over to Firebase and show you how kind of I set this up, right? So I'm just gonna go to console Firebase google.com, create a project, right? I'm just gonna call it, I don't know, microservice app. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I don't need analytics for this, I think. So we're just gonna fire up this project. We're gonna select this as a web app because I wanted this, even though this is gonna be included in my web page, I also wanted this to be like a standalone app in this video. So if you want to link this to your bio or on your web page or whenever. So we're just gonna do this like a standalone app, right? Okay, so now we kind of got into this. I want to go to project settings, I think, and click on web app here, right? Okay, hosting, yeah, we can do that. It's fine. So let's just call it micro S. Okay, so let's add this. So here you will kind of see your Firebase configuration. I'm probably just gonna blur it out just to be safe. There's some API keys and stuff here that you will need, right? And we're gonna do npm install Firebase, so we can copy that, right? And let me go on to the next stage here. And we also want to install Firebase CLI. So I'm just gonna go back to cursor now, and I'm gonna close this, and I'm just gonna stop this now, right? And I'm just gonna do npm install Firebase. And after that, I'm gonna install this Firebase CLI, the tools. So yeah, it's gonna take maybe a minute or something, and to install these two, but I'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, I'm installing the Firebase tools here. So we can click on next, and we need to log in and initialize, and after a while we can deploy, right? So let's just copy this login. So as long as you kind of are logged into your Firebase console, this should be pretty easy. So we can clear that, just do a Firebase login, and I think I should be logged in here. Yeah, okay, great. Then we can kind of do the next step, initialize our project. Okay, so before we initialize this now, I just wanted to try something here on cursor. So, okay, so you can see we have our project here, right? We have our public, everything. So I want to go back to the chat. I'm just going to close down a few stuff up here. So let's do Control L, right? Let me just type in a prompt here. Okay, so I'm going to try this prompt here. So I'm ready to initialize this project on Firebase. The front end is pretty much done. The next step is going to be to have a backend that will use Firebase functions to send people to my Stripe checkout page when interacting with the pay with Stripe buttons on the subpages. I will be using run the payments with Stripe extension on Firebase. So that is something we're going to use. Can you guide me through the initialization of the Firebase setup step by step, please? And here we're going to do like a Control Enter, and hopefully we will get like a step by step guide here how you can set this up. So you can see we're going to install Firebase tools. We have done that. Log in. Next is going to be to initialize this. And here you can see we get some questions during the initialize process here. So when we run Firebase init here now, you can see we will get some questions. So are you ready to proceed? Yes. Select functions and hosting when prompted. So we're going to go down here. We're going to find functions. I'm going to click spacebar, hosting, spacebar. And okay, and enter. And we're going to use an existing project. So that is going to be our microservices app, right? And the next step is going to be to select JavaScript for functions, right? Say yes to ESLint, and install dependencies now, right? So like we said, we're going to use JavaScript. Do you want to install? Yes. Install dependencies. Yes. And that should be pretty much it, right? And after installation, you should update your package JSON to include Firebase and Stripe dependencies. So we can do that. So that is going to be our package.json, right? We can prompt this. So let's just try this. So I'm going to select this. And let's try to add this to chat. Help me with this setup too. So let's try that. I kind of know what I have to do here, but you can see. So enter build, right? So here we're going to enter build. Configure as a single app. We're going to answer yes. Setup. Okay, so we're going to do no. And that was it. So now we have initialized our project here now. So now we can kind of go back up here, right? And we want to update your package.json, right? So let's click on that and bring this down. And we want to add these lines. So let's do this. Okay, so we added these lines here. Accept. And let's save that. Install the new dependencies. Okay. So just do an npm install here. And set up the Stripe extension. Okay, we can do that. But for this, I kind of like to do that over on the Firebase console. I think it's just a bit more easy to do than instead of doing it on the CLI, right? So what I like to do is I'm just going to go to project overview, extensions, and explore extensions, right? Okay, so this was messed up, but if we scroll down here, we can find run payments with Stripe. Let me turn off this. I know it's killing your eyes, but yeah. So here we can kind of run payments with Stripe, right? So I'm just going to click on install in Firebase console. So we're going to choose a project. So that's going to be our microservices app. And we're going to just continue here, all right? So you can see next. And review, APIs enabled. So I want to enable this, right? Click on next. And here, I'm just going to keep everything default here. I'm not going to change up everything big at the moment, at least. And then we get to this configuration. For now, I'm just going to leave it at default. But I am going to put in my Stripe API key here with restricted access. And the webhook, I think we're going to do that later. But for now, let me show you kind of how you set up to get your API key. So we're just going to head over to the Stripe dashboard and I'm going to show you how you can get your restricted key. And to find this, we just have to go to your homepage on Stripe dashboard and click on developers. And here we have something called API keys. So we can just click into that and kind of down on the page, you will find restricted API keys and you can just click on create new. Okay, so I clicked on create restricted API key. I'm going to go back to cursor now so you can see. We're going to give write access to customers, checkout sessions, and customer portal. So let me do that. So you can see customers, we're going to give write access, customer session, write access, and the final write access was customer portal. So we can find that too. So customer portal, write access, right? And the two read-only accesses is going to be subscription and prices. subscriptions. That's going to be read, and let's find prices and prices right here. Okay, so that is basically it. And now we can kind of click on create key, right? Okay, so we need to set a key name. So I'm just gonna name it micro s. Okay, go down again, create key. And now you can see I have to verify this. So let me just quickly do that. And then you will probably have your restricted API key. Okay, so you can see down here, we have my restricted key. Okay, so I copied my key. I'm just gonna paste it in here and create a secret. So I'll be right back. Okay, so you can kind of see now, yeah, this is set, right? Like I said, I'm just gonna leave everything default now. I'm not gonna do any major changes because we can come back to this. So now I'm just gonna click on install extension here. This is gonna take some time, not like hours, but like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna let this run and I'll be back when this is finished, right? So while installing this, oh, okay, so we got an error. So this has happened before, so we can click on see details, we can click on details. Okay, so we have some kind of error message here, resource error. So what I did, I just copied this error message. I created just a new chat on ChatGPT here. So while installing the extension payment with Stripe, I got the error. So I just pasted in my error here. And we get like a breakdown. So we have some steps to resolve. So create a Firestore database, navigate to Firestore database in the left-hand menu, click on create a DB. So you can see if you click on build here, Firestore database, right? And we come to this page here. We're just gonna click on, I think it's just create database, right? And I'm just gonna keep this default, right? Start in, I think we're gonna do, let's just start in production mode. I don't think it matters too much. Right. Okay, so that was it. Your database is ready to go. Just add some data. Perfect. We have another step we need to resolve. So this is going to be enable Firebase auth. So in the Firebase console, navigate to authentication, click on get started and enable the Firebase authentication service. Perfect. Okay. Let's go to build authentication and click on get started, right? Okay, so we have done that. Now I want to go back to extensions, see details, and I want to click view details, retry installing. So we're going to try again. So I'll take you back and see if this made any changes. Okay, great. So now you can see, yeah, we got this installed. So now we kind of have the option to manage this. So everything is kind of set up here now. We have our Stripe API key secret here. We might have to add our webhook. Everything is default here now, so I'm not gonna change up anything here yet. But now I think we're gonna head back to our project and we're gonna start to write our backend that is gonna be integrated with this Stripe payment here, right? Okay, so if we head back to Cursor now, we have kind of done the setup the Stripe extension. The next part is gonna be create a new file function index.js and add the following code. Okay, functions, we have that folder that was auto created. And here we want to add this file to our index.js, right? So just click on this and do the auto apply here. So we're going to accept that and save it, right? You can see we have some errors here, but I'm going to update this later, right? And update your front-end code. So let's go to source, components, subpages, and let's add in this. Okay, so we imported some functions here. We added some new styling. Your publishable key, right? Okay, so let's accept. For now, I think this looks good. Set up your Stripe secret key as a Firebase environment variable. Okay, we can do that. Firebase functions, and we're gonna set your Stripe secret key. Okay, let me copy this. And let me just set this up in the CLI here now. I'm gonna put in my API key here and run this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I added my Stripe API key into our Firebase environment variables, but yeah, I'm not gonna show you that, right? Now we can actually deploy our Firebase project. So let's just do this here now. So let's just try this. So Firebase deploy. So hopefully this is gonna work right out of the bat now. Yeah, okay, so let's just clear this chat. Okay, so we have a few issues here, right? yeah, so I think we need the ESLint here to work, right? Before we can actually deploy this. So this could be interesting to try to fix with the Control L feature here. So let's just yeah, do a new chat, right? I want to just copy all of these errors here. So let's just do it like, oh, there's a lot of errors. So all of this, add to chat, and then just ask, can you resolve the errors, please? And of course, do this with the context from our full base here. Okay, so you can see, let me have solved the errors, right? So let's just go all the way up to the top here. I'll try to follow the instructions we get back from Cursor here. So we want to start on index.js, right? Here's the corrected. So let's go to function index. We can bring down the terminal a bit for now, and let's use the fast apply here. Okay, so let's accept that and save it, right? Package.json in our function. So this, we can add some lines here. So this is the ESLint fix, right? Accept and save that. Install the missing dependencies. Try the Firebase host, Firebase deploy now. Okay, so now you can see we're gonna run the ESLint fix. That should work now. So this is looking much better. Okay, so we had some other small issues. Let me just do npm run build, right? Remember we added that. So this is gonna create like a production ready build, so we can actually just deploy that. And I think I only wanna deploy the hosting for now. Okay, so we have some issues here in the sub page. So I wanna try this. Let's do add to chat and resolve the error. Okay, so we want to install the Stripe packages here. Great. So npm install stripe.js, right? And then we want to update our sub page. So we want to import Stripe from here. This should be added on top here, I guess. Good. Accept, save. Update the handle payment function. And it's probably in here too, right? There might be some changes we have to do later now, right? And create an env file in the root of your project and add your Stripe publishable key. Okay, yeah, I might do that. So let me just set that up. Doesn't matter too much, but then I'm going to show you how you create this publishable key here. So I'm just going to go to the root here, new file.env, right? And let's copy this, or we can just do like this. And we're going to add this line, accept, and I'm going to find my publishable key here, right? So I think this is a good time to actually just go into the test mode on the Stripe dashboard. So I'm just going to head over to the Stripe dashboard and activate test mode. I'm going to show you how you can do that. Okay, so you can see test mode. We can just click on this now, and then we can kind of go to our API keys, right? And here we have the test publishable key that we're going to use now, because you should always do this in test mode. Like I know when we created our first restricted key, we did that in like a live mode, but I want to revert to that now, so we can do this in test mode instead, because that's a good practice, right? So now we're gonna have to go back and kind of do that again, but I can show you now how I'm gonna do this. So this is a test key I always use. So I'm just gonna duplicate this. It's basically the same, but I'm just gonna call it something else. I'm just gonna call it micro test, right? It has the same access, so I'm just gonna create this. Okay. And yeah, I think that's basically it. So now let me just copy my test key. And the first thing I want to do is I want to set my test key now in kind of the Firebase configuration. So I'm just going to do like the Firebase functions, get config, set Stripe key. So I don't care about this test key. If I don't have to hide that, I can just revoke that afterwards. But this is for the, so now we kind of updated this, right? And I think we have to go back to our Firebase console too and do some managing here. So I'm gonna click on refigure extension. I'm gonna change up kind of the API key here. So I just put my test key into our run payments with Stripe configuration. I'm just gonna click save. So this is gonna have to run again. It's gonna take a few minutes before this is updated with our test key. And if we go back here now to cursor, we can go to our env, and I'm gonna grab my test publish key, right? Let's just paste that in here. And let's save that, right? Okay. And then I think we can try to deploy this again. Let's just try both again and see if it works. If not, let's just do only the hosting. Okay, so I got another small error. I think this is pretty easy to fix. We have to navigate to our functions, right? So cd functions, and we can install Stripe here in this directory. I think I kind of forgot about that. And then we're going to update our functions slash package .json here. So let's go to functions. Okay, so I'm just going to apply this. So this added Stripe, I guess we kind of already have it, but okay, that's fine. And we're going to update function.index too. Okay, we made some few changes there. That triggered an error, but that's going to be fixed in the lint, I think. Set your Stripe API key. We already done that. That's fine. And now let's try to only deploy the functions. So we can do, let's Firebase deploy only functions, and hopefully this could work now, because when we run the fix here now, I think it's going to be okay. Yeah, that looked fine. Let's see now if this is gonna go through. Okay, it looks like we have some more issues here, so I'm just gonna go through this list here and try to fix and see if this helped. Okay, so finally we got the deployment complete. So that was our functions completed. So we can go back to the console now, right? Should be here. So functions. So hopefully now we can kind of see the function here, right? Yeah. So here we have our functions for this microservice app. Perfect. So now we're gonna start testing this and actually see if it works. Okay, so that worked. Now we have deployed this too. So now we get this link here that we can follow, and hopefully this will take us to our microservices. Yes, perfect. So we can go to the buy page. Oop, that looks a bit bugged. But for now, it's looking okay. What happens if we click here? Pretty much nothing else. Nothing now, because we haven't. Yeah, so we're gonna do some debugging here. Let's do console. So let's try to debug this and see if we can figure out what is happening here. So I'm just gonna grab the console error here, go back to cursor. When I click the buy button on the conversation page, I get the error in console. So let's do Control Enter and see if we can do like some quick debugging here on this app. Okay, so kind of as I expected, we don't have our Firebase configuration. So create a new file, Firebase, in the source directory. Okay, new file, firebase.js. And let's grab this. So I'm gonna go grab the Firebase configuration too and kind of paste in here, right? But also we need to update our subpage and some stuff here. So let me just quickly do that. Our app.js and too. So to find my Firebase configuration, I can just go back to the console, settings, go to project settings, and if I scroll down here now, I can kind of see all my configurations. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to paste that in and do like control enter. Okay, perfect. So now you can see we got my configuration here. So I'm just going to apply that, and then we're going to try again. So now since we changed up some stuff here, we're going to do like Firebase deploy again. Okay, good. So if now we click on a link, hopefully this is going to solve this now. So if we click on conversation now, okay, good. So now we kind of are one more step. And the next thing now is going to be to integrate. So when people click on pay with Stripe now, hopefully will they be sent to our checkout page. So we're going to do a bit more on that, and of course we're going to add the calendar link and yeah, all of these other pages here too. But we are closing in now, so hopefully this is going to go smooth at the end here. Yeah, so let's just move on to the next step. So the issue we had was that when people clicked on this pay with Stripe button, nothing happened, right? So we got a console error, so I just copied that. If you go back to cursor now, you can see when I click the pay with Stripe button on my subpage.js, I get a console error here. So this was the error we got, right? When we clicked, so nothing happened. And I also did like a command here. That is something like, I think it's Firebase functions log. So this is gonna log what happens in our function when we try to run it. So I pasted that in here too, right? And I just said, can you help me resolve this error? Okay. So we wanted to check that create checkout function in index.js. So we went ahead and you can see I updated this. We also want to update subpage.js to handle the error more gracefully. So I updated my subpage, right? Make sure you have the Stripe key correctly set in your config. Yes. And then I deployed it again. And if you take a look now, you can see if we go over to our microservices app now, we click on conversation here, and then we click on pay with Stripe. Can remove this. Yeah, now we are taken over to the test mode here for Stripe checkout, right? So we can just do like a .com. So if this works now, we can be brought back to the main page, right? Okay, so it checked out. Success. Okay, so you can see this is not a page. We have to update that. But that's fine for now. So if we go to our integration here now, you can see we have some successful API requests here, right? So let me see if our billing went through here. So if we go to transactions, you can see, yeah, that went through. Perfect. So this is our API key. We can see the customer, and we got our $40 that we paid here, right, for the conversation. So that is perfect. But now I need to make some changes to our our logic here, because if you remember, I wanted this service. I don't want the transaction to go through right away. I want this to be kind of put on like hold. So I actually have to go confirm this before the money is paid out, right? So let me try to find out how I can do that. So you can see I am over at the Stripe API here, and I found this called confirm a payment intent, right? So you can see here we have payment method, and you can see we have this set up here. But there's something that's called capture method. So manual, place a hold on the funds when the customer authorizes the payment, but don't capture it until later. So I think this is the part I want to use. But for now, I'm just gonna grab some documentation here, right? And then I'm gonna try to ask Cursor now to kind of implement this. So let's paste in, let's do Stripe. I'm going to paste this in. Okay, so this was a lot of context, right? And then let me do my prompt here now. So I just want to follow up the documentation with, I want my Stripe integration to work like this. When the user pays with Stripe, I want to put the payment on hold. So I, as the service provider, must confirm that the service is valid before the customer gets charged. Can you help me set this up, please? And I'm going to enter with Control Enter so we kind of get our full context here. And yeah, this is the first time I'm trying this, so hopefully we're gonna try this capture method. So I'm not quite sure how this works, but it's gonna be interesting to see if we can actually get this to work. So let's just let this run and let's implement the changes. Okay, so the first change we wanna do is to our create checkout session. So we're gonna click on that. You can see we added payment intent data, capture method manual. So that is what we looked at here, right, in the API manual, right? That could be interesting. Let's go back to cursor here and let's save this like this. Next, you need to create a new Claude function to capture the payment after you confirm this. Okay, so we're gonna add this too. I guess it's already added, but that's fine. Update our subpage to handle a successful callback. Okay, yeah, let's just try what it suggests here. So let's do those changes and let's save that. And you need to create an admin interface or a secure endpoint where you can review the pending payments and capture them. So I'm just going to ask, how can I create this? Can I do this on the Stripe dashboard? I think that would have been optimal for me, I think. Okay, so you can see payments, you can look for the status, and then you can check capture button. Yeah, this seems pretty okay. So now, yeah, let's just deploy this again and test it. So let's just do like an npm run, right? And I'm just gonna deploy this again and then see if this works. Okay, so we deployed that again. Let's go to our app now. Let's try to do the same now. So pay with Stripe, right? And let me just fill out this checkout here. Okay, so I'm just gonna pay this. So hopefully now this is not gonna be, okay, so we need to fix this. But now we wanna head over to my dashboard here on Stripe and see if we get this capture payment set up here. Okay, so I just went to transactions and you can see we have something here called uncaptured. Okay, so this is looking good. And there's something about refund here too, so we're gonna test that too. So if I click on this now, you can see I can pick between capture and cancel. So first I'm gonna try to capture it. Okay, capture a payment. Okay, so that succeeded. Okay, that was good. I want to go back here now and see what happens. So let me just do this again and see what happens if we cancel this. Okay, so hopefully now we have a new uncaptured payment here. Let me refresh. Yes, so let's go to that. So what happens now if we cancel it? If I see like, no, this conversation doesn't really, I can't do this one, sorry. So I'm gonna click on cancel, I'm gonna select a reason, other, I'm sorry, right? Yes. Okay, so this was cancelled. It may take a few days for the money to reach the customer's bank account. Okay. But hopefully, yeah, I think that's fine. And yeah, that was super easy to set up. So I guess the capture method here worked pretty good, right? The payment intent capture manual. So I was pretty happy with this. And this is exactly what I wanted. So the only thing we have left now is to, if you go to our app, you can see, okay, we have to fix this checkout page, but we also have to add the social media post. We have to set that up. And we have to set up the YouTube video shout out, right? Yeah, so let's just do that. And I think we also have to fix this 30-minute part here. So yeah, let's try to set that up and that should be almost completed. And to try to fix that, I want to try to use the Composor feature here in Cursor. That's just going to be, we can do Control Shift I, so we get to this. So I want to add some context here. So we need our subpage, right? We need our YouTube shout out page. We need our social media post page. We can also add our index.js, I think, right? Okay, so let me just do a prompt here now and see if we can fix all of this using the Composor here. So I think I'm just gonna try the prompt. I need to add Stripe payment to the YouTube shoutout on social media post pages. Also, the subpage must have a separate button for the 30 and 15 minutes conversation since the price is different. Can you help me fix all of these implementations? So now I'm gonna click enter here and hopefully now we can add all of these changes to all of these pages at once. And the Composer is also gonna write the code for us. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if we can actually fix this. Okay, so you can see it started with adding some separate buttons to the subpage. Okay, and then it's gonna go over to the YouTube shoutout page. Interesting. You can see these changes implement the Stripe payments for all services. Make sure, yeah, and you want to update the main page too, and the app. So I think we're just gonna try this. So let's see now. So we went to this. Okay, so you can see the YouTube shoutout page. We have this JSON stringify amount, yeah, $100 I think this is. Social media 30, and the sub page now should have 2 of these. So we have amount and service name. Okay, so we have 2 different buttons here, right? 75 and 40. Yeah, I think we're gonna try this. So let's do accept all, and let's redeploy this and test it. Okay, so that was done. So let's refresh our page now. Let's try this social media here. So we get, yeah, and we can enter some URLs here. Let's see, pay with Stripe. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, perfect. Engagement on your social media post, $3. Great. And let's do video shout out. So hopefully this is gonna be like $100. Yeah, perfect. So let's do the conversation here. Okay, that was a pretty good way to do it. So we can do like, we can select 40 or 75. Yeah, I kind of like that. So you can see it doesn't matter which one we click because we can select here what we want to pay. So let's try the 75. Yes, and let's try the 40. Perfect. Okay, so that means everything is set up. Let's just keep it like this. Okay, so I'm gonna redeploy this. But for now, I think we are... What am I missing now? So the only thing I want to add now is the calendar link. And I'm gonna see where this ends up. So I'm gonna ask about where I can actually get these details, right? So I think I'm just gonna try on my social media post page, YouTube shoutout page. There are text fields that the user can fill out. Is it possible to send this information from these text fields along with the payment so I can see this info in the Stripe dashboard before I capture or cancel the payment? Control enter, and let's see if this is possible, because that would be really convenient, right? So let's see if we can do that. Okay, so we have to handle the payment function in both the pages. You need to include the form data in request body. Okay, let's make this a bit bigger. So we can go to our social media page and replace this. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Okay, so let's accept that. So we have post URL and instructions. Yeah. Similar for the YouTube shoutout page. So this is probably gonna add the same. Yeah. Accept that and save it. We want to update our backend a bit here too. So let's go to our index and update the metadata here. Is that going to be in here? Yeah, most likely. So let's just try this. Then we need to redeploy. Just do like npm run lint here first. Let's just see if we can actually deploy this now. So we got a bit of an error here. So let me just fix that. And then I'm going to redeploy this and we're going to test these text fields. Okay, so I redeployed this. Now we actually need to test this. So let's go back to our microservices here. Let's just do, yeah. So let's say I had a Reddit post, right? Post, so this is the URL. Tweet my post, I don't know. Okay, and we're gonna pay with Stripe, right? So I'm just gonna fill out this. Yeah, and just click on pay. And when this is complete now, I'm gonna go back to transactions. Okay, so in our transactions now, let's click on this uncaptured part here. So is there any information here? Let me just scroll down here. Okay, so you can see when we come to metadata here, you can see instructions. Hello, can you comment on my post, please? Maybe tweet my post. And we got the URL here. So that worked pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's quite easy to find. And I guess we could have made like a custom application for this to only handle this. So I'm just gonna see if I get an email with this from Stripe. That will make it even more easy. So I actually don't think they send out notifications in the test mode. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put this over to my live API key and publish key, and then we're gonna try it out. So I'm actually gonna pay the the $3, and then we're gonna test this in like a real transaction and see if I get a notifications and see if all the metadata works right. So yeah, I'm just gonna tell you quickly how I actually put this from test mode over to like the live mode now. Okay, so to move this over to my live now, I kind of updated my publish key. So I selected the live version of my publish key. I set my configuration to my non-test API key. And I also went back to my microservice app and updated my extension with the live Stripe API key. And that is basically all I did, and I redeployed my Firebase, both the function and just the Firebase redeploy. So let's go to our app now, and let's go here. Let me just fill out something here, and now we're gonna try to pay with my real credit card. So I'm just gonna click here on Stripe, right? So hopefully now this is gonna be in like a non-test environment. So let's see. Okay, so I have a small issue here, so it doesn't have the permissions to actually do this. So I'm gonna try to fix this using Cursor first. So I'm just gonna put in the console error and the Firebase log error here and see if we can actually resolve this. So let me just try to do that. Okay, so what I had to do is I had to go back to my API key and I had to give the checkout sessions in my API key write access. So I just went to my developer page, API keys, and I went to edit my key, and I gave checkout sessions the write access, redeployed, and now you can see if we go here now, we click on pay with Stripe, right? Now we get taken to our page, but now you can see we are not on the test environment, right? So I'm actually gonna try to pay now with my real credit card. And then we're gonna see if I even get like a notification and if our metadata was, yeah, it got along with our payment. Okay, so my payment went through now. Let's go to my transactions here and update. Okay, so we have an uncaptured one here, great. Let's click on this. Okay, interesting. So let me see now if we have the metadata. Yes, perfect. Okay. I just want to check my email if I get like a notification for this. So I didn't see any notification, but I'm gonna set that up, right? So that could be nice. So we can now decline or capture this. I'm just gonna cancel this, right? Yeah, no time, right? Okay, so I cancel this. Will I now get an email from Stripe that my order was cancelled? I'm not quite sure. But other than that, yeah, working pretty good. We are live now, so this is not in the test environment. So yeah, I'm pretty happy how this looks. So now there's just a few final touches left. The first thing I did, I needed to add my calendar link right to my conversation page. So I'm just gonna use the Composor here to do that. Great. And then we have to do like yeah, npm run build and redeploy this new change. So Firebase deploy. So I'm just gonna deploy this, and then we're gonna go to our conversation page to see if the calendar link is working. Okay, so let's just go to our conversation here and click on calendar. Yeah, that looks good. So you can pick between the two meetings. yeah, pretty much standard setup here, and you can select one of those, right? And yeah, this is an easy way for me to, let's check the other page. Yeah, those looks pretty good. So this is an easy way for me to check who's booked and who did pay for it. If I can go to my transaction here, right? And I guess we haven't tested this, but it's pretty much the same. So people can contact me and I can leave my email. I guess there's just one thing left I want to do before I'm happy with this. Yeah, and that is try to do some simple security on all the text fields, right? So we don't get any scripts and stuff into our text fields. So let me try to use Cursor for that too. I'm just going to show you the prompt and see if it works, right? So again, I want to try to keep this simple. So in my component social media post page, YouTube shoutout page, I have some text fields. I want to make sure that these text fields are secure to attacks and only allows valid input to be inserted. Can you help me set this up? Control codebase, and let's see if we can get some simple cybersecurity here. But of course, I would highly recommend doing more research on things that can leave you vulnerable, right? I'm no expert at all on this. So if I were going to create something that was quite serious, I would maybe contact someone who knows a lot about this stuff, right? But let's just see what we can do now by just using Cursor here. So you can see I'll help you set up some input validation and sanitization for the text field to make them more secure. Combination of React state, validation functions, and error messaging. So if you go down here, these modifications include input validation for email and URLs, input sanitation to prevent XSS attacks, character limited checks, error messages, preventing form submissions if there are any errors. So yeah, let me try to implement, just apply all of these changes, and then we're gonna deploy and go back and see if it actually is working as intended, right? Okay, so we deployed our changes. So let's go to our YouTube page here and let's try to enter like a, okay, so you can see please enter an email address. Yeah, that seems pretty good. At least seems to be working okay. So let's try to put in a lot of characters. Okay, details must be 1000 characters or less. Okay, that seemed to work. Let's go back here. Let's go here. And a URL. Enter a very valid URL. Okay, and let's try this. 500 characters. Okay, so I'm happy with this for now. At least there is some simple implementations we did here for the cybersecurity. But this is very important, right? If you have some databases that contain some information, you really have to seek out good help, as probably many of you know, right? With that, I think we are pretty much completed. So yeah, this video got very long, but I learned a lot from this. I thought it was super interesting and I really enjoyed working with Cursor as expected. So I kind of said in the beginning of the video that we will be using Claude projects too, but I guess it just turned out that we only used Cursor. So that is kind of how highly I rate this, right? And it's super easy to work with. We have the compose feature. We have the chat feature. We also, we did a bit of that inline feature too. I guess we didn't use it too much. Control L for the chat. So pretty helpful to just have this set here. And like if you have your own API key, there are also possible to kind of put in your own API key here. If you have that set up. So I'm gonna be trying that when my trial period is over, and I've reached out to Cursor. Maybe I'm gonna try to ask if there's something I can do for them, because I really like their product. But the focus today was to try to create our microservices, and yeah, and like the big part of this was to integrate Stripe into this, right? Because it's such a nice way to get paid. And there's a lot of options. Their API is superb. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. We can insert some metadata, as we just saw. And it's pretty secure and it's well trusted against amongst users, right? And we can do that test environment. So pretty cool to work around with that. And as always, I really enjoyed working with Firebase. I really like that. So you can see we are deployed here, and yeah. So it's pretty smooth to work around with, and it's easy to change, and it's pretty easy even though we are on the pay as you go. I'm not gonna pay anything, at least of significance, for this app, right? My next step is gonna be to integrate this into the website, but that's not gonna be a part of the video because yeah, that's pretty personal to me, right? So I'm gonna try to find a way to do that pretty smoothly, even if I just do a link or if I transfer everything over to my other Firebase setup. But yeah, I hope you learned something, and I hope you gave you some interesting ideas. Maybe you want to create your own microservices app where you can kind of do simple charges for small services that you can provide, that you have skill in. Leave it in your Twitter bio, your LinkedIn bio, or on your web page. I think it's a cool idea, right? And you learn a lot from just playing around with this. And again, Claude 3.5, very nice to work with when creating these pretty simple apps, but pretty useful apps. And yeah, we have to check out how long did we spend on this. So you can see my timer is around 4 hours. And that seemed pretty much how long I spent on this. Maybe I forgot sometimes to start it and stop it, but I think around 4 hours for this. Yeah, should be pretty much correct. Like 4 hours is quite a lot, but with the integration with Stripe and Firebase and deployment and everything and all the debugging, I don't think it was too much. Remember, I'm quite unexperienced when it comes to this. So 4 hours, I'm happy with that. So I want to say thank you for tuning in. A long video, I know, but hopefully you learned something. At least I did. So yeah, we speak again soon, and enjoy your weekend or week.